Hey, what's up, my fearless networking friend, Todd Falcone. Happy day to you. Here we are wrapping up 2022, and I just wanted to give you a little bit of inspiration as we wrap up the year. So, I'll start off by saying this. Everyone loves a good comeback story, okay? Or, quite frankly, everybody loves a good come-up story. Somebody who, against all odds, beat it, did it, crushed it, here they are. Or somebody who's down and out and, got knocked down, got beaten down, got pummeled, overcame all odds and, got back up on the top again. So, everybody either loves a great comeback story or a come up story. So, and the fact that I said that should be enough for you, that everybody loves a good comeback story. Not everybody hates a good comeback story. Everybody despises one. Everyone loves a great comeback story or a great come-up story. So regardless of where you are in your business, this is a really interesting time of the year. Here we are really kind of like wrapping up 2022. This week between now and the end of the year, this is a time of reflection. It's a time of planning and preparing for getting off and moving hard in the new year. I do a lot of planning this last week and a lot of preparation for starting into a new year. It's just part of my habit. And if you're in a situation right now where maybe your business isn't where you want it to be, or maybe your business is down, maybe you had a big high and you're down at a low, and you're questioning yourself. And you're like, okay, do I have it in me one more time? Do I have the energy to go do this again? And I get that. I understand rebuilding is tough. That's. And by the way, I'll just say this: there's a pretty good chance that if you're a lifer in network marketing, you're gonna have to go rebuild again. If you're lucky enough to do one big build and it grows and goes and stays there, then you consider yourself incredibly fortunate. And that's probably a rarity, okay? But if that's you, beautiful, good on you. So if you haven't had that come up story, meaning you haven't had that success yet, or you've had something and you lost it, and you're fighting to get it back, I just want you to know that everybody's in your corner. Everybody's rooting you on. Everybody wants to see you win. Now look, they might, some of the people closest to you in that process may not appear to be like that. Isn't that interesting? It's so interesting, isn't it? Where you're like in the midst of I'm making my comeback. This is my comeback story. I'm doing my comeback story right now. You're thinking to yourself, right? And you're taking all the actions. And not necessarily at all times is everybody going to be supporting and encouraging of you. Sometimes, especially when it's people close to us, they can be jealous that they don't have the intestinal fortitude to go for it, to be knocked down and to get back up and to climb out of it. But I can guarantee you, when you get there, regardless of how they might have treated you in the interim, they're going to be like, dude, I'm so proud of you. Wow. To go from where you were to where you are. They might not show it. Just understand that sometimes, and this happens in certainly in spousal relationships, especially, where one individual is in the business and driving the business, and the other one isn't in the business, and they're not going through personal growth and development, and they're not really involved in what this person is doing. And all they see is, you're taking time away from me. You're taking time away from our kids. You're taking time, where's my time? They're like, you're doing it with this greater intention of creating freedom and you see it, but this person doesn't. I'm sure some of you can absolutely 100% relate to what I'm talking about here. You have an unsupportive spouse, and it's like, why are you taking time away from me to go do this business? But you're doing this business to create more time together. It's like, this short-term sacrifice for the longer-term game, bigger picture. And in the end, you know, if you stick to your guns, if you're like, hey, I'm making this comeback or I'm making this come up story happen, I promise you that spouse, not only will they be like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. The funny thing is, and this dudes do this more than women do, for sure. Like if it's the woman who's the lead in the network marketing business, and now you like, you know, you just busted it and you grew it to the top. Now the husband hasn't done anything except like, hey, you know, first he was like, what are you doing? Why are you not, you know, and then all of a sudden he starts to see the checks coming in and you're crushing it and like seeing the growth and seeing the income, and he ends up getting retired. Next thing you know, is he's going to be on the stage with you and it'll be like, you know, my wife's name is Carla. So let's say Carla was, you know, in the business and I was the one not in the business. You know, I'd be the dude coming up there. Yeah, we're going to walk across the stage as Todd and Carla Falcone, you know, blah, 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 distributors, even though I didn't do anything. And I got to have my name first. Like, dudes, I don't know why you guys do this. Like, if they built the business, it should be their name first, to be honest with you, right? If the woman built the business and then you didn't do anything, but you're all happy and, you know, oh, this is awesome that, hey, you know, I don't have to work anymore and we're making $100,000 a month and she retired me, you know, yeah, if you walk across the stage as a couple, that's great. But I've seen it happen where all of a sudden, and I know the dude did nothing, the woman did. Happens more often than not, and it mostly happens in that direction. It doesn't typically happen the other direction. But you know, the other thing is like, you know, direct selling and network marketing is dominated by women. Women rule the world. We all know that. So, but yeah. So, look, my point is, as we wrap up the year, I don't know where you're at. If you had a good year, that's awesome. I'd say, see what you can do to make it an even better year. If you're down, if you slid backwards, if you don't like where you are, like you can change. You can change any time you want. Anytime you want. And actually, I'll finish with this. And I probably did. It's the perfect time of the year for this. But there's a show on TV, and about 10 years ago, I learned the lesson. Like we watch kids shows, and you don't always necessarily like. You know, it's a show for kids, but then there's sometimes these adult lessons that are in these shows. So there's a show that's probably on. It was on the month of December. Santa Claus is coming to town, and it's like claymation or whatever it was, probably made in the 1960s or something. And it's this kid, Kris Kringle, gets dropped off at this house. This baby grows up in a big strapping Santa Claus, and the Kringle family that took him in, they're toy makers, but they can't get to the toys to the town because of the mean winter warlock. And, you know, Kris Kringle, all buffed and redheaded, growing his beard, we know walks over the pass, gets stopped by the warlock, and traps him in one of those scary trees that we see in our nightmares. And who are you? What are you doing? And Kris Kringle's saying to the mean winter warlock, hey, I've got a gift for you. And he's like, what? Are you tricking me? And he opens up the tree and he lets him out and he hands him a choo-choo train. And, you know, I've always wanted a choo-choo train, says the mean winter warlock. But why would you give me a choo-choo train? I'm the mean winter warlock. And he's like, hey, man. Dude, you don't always have to be mean. You can make a decision, and you can get up and you can change direction anytime you want. You can get, you know, and what's the song? Put one foot in front of the other, and soon you'll be walking out the door. So it's like making the decision, and I'm not gonna. That's all the singing you're getting, by the way. But I remember sitting there with my kids and realizing that anyone can change. Anyone can have a come up, a comeback. It's a matter of making the decision, deciding to go in a different direction, and putting one foot in front of the other, and soon you'll be. That's it. Again, I told you. That's all you're getting. But I remember watching that, and I was like, such an epiphany to me. And I'd seen that show since I was a little kid. And then I finally got the lesson right then and there. It took me years. I mean, it took me 30 years of watching the show, and finally, as an adult, the lesson hit me. And people want to be there for you. And just know that people are cheering you on. If you haven't had your come up yet, people will cheer you on. Not everybody. I guarantee they'll cheer you on and say, job well done when you get there. But you got to take the action. And what a better time of the year than right now to be setting things up and doing things differently for a new year. A new you and a new year. So, all right, beautiful people. Appreciate you. Happy holidays. That's a wrap on this one. I appreciate you guys on my YouTube channel as well as my podcast. All the details on this episode and other episodes are at toddfalcone.com/episode 209. That's this episode, toddfalcone.com/episode 209. We'll see you next time.